So you can see a direct correlation here. Volcanic activity, large scale, cools temperatures. But also with a little bit at the bottom there, also due to changes in El Nino and Gulf Stream flow. We're heading into the El Nino right now. So these natural cycles are being ridden on top of to create more panic about global warming, to pass more legislation, more taxes, and more control over what you can consume. That's what this is all about as well. Just another layer, but there's 3 layers on this one getting deep. So if the temperatures are going to cool because of volcanic activity, how do you explain that to a populace when it's supposed to be the warmest year ever? You have to make up some other excuse why things are going haywire in the atmosphere. Massive smoke canopy, it cooled, didn't it? Oh wait, El Nino can change the temperatures also. Oh, we're heading into an El Nino. See how this is all starting to layer on top here? It's excuse after excuse for the changes we are seeing now and going to experience through the rest of the summer. And welcome back. Thank you for joining me right here, Patriot on TV, uncensored. Let's talk about the uninsured future. You hear it again and again, you're going to own nothing. You're going to be happy. You're going to eat what you're told to eat. You'll be delivered what you get. You'll have no choice to actually physically inspect products before you receive them. You'll just be given. There will be no returns. And you might say, well, how would they ever facilitate this type of future? There's no way I'm moving out of the countryside. There's no way they're taking me off my land. You've heard this again and again. Well, then we have the fires. Big fires. And they all started at the exact same time. So it's really interesting. Within a 6-hour period, you have entire provinces of Canada all igniting in what? 1,000 fires in a 6-hour period? They claim lightning strikes, perhaps. Coordinated effect, maybe to mask the symptoms or what we're seeing with the year without a summer, to explain away the cold that would be ripping through the Northeast US, the Maritimes, Canada, Nova Scotia. It's the smoke that's cooling it. We're going to try to run through a couple of interconnected ideas today, see how it pans out for the future, because the economy moving through, not financial advice, I'm just talking about a repeating cycle. We get a step back 3 years ago into almost the exact same time, May and June of 2020. Treasury issued $1 trillion in T-bills, silver spikes, but they're going to scare you through the summer with the whole global warming agenda, for a better term. Coming into El Nino, and I mean, it's just a sliver, like 1/5% into it, and you should see the amount of news headlines running with it. El Nino, it's the warmest year ever. But we just had 3 of the coldest La Niñas in a row stacked on top. So how quickly do you think you can change Pacific water temperatures across the ocean from South America to Asia? Sure doesn't happen in less than a week, but it does in the media. They're magic. It's just magic the way they do it. So today's episode, as you can see, the uninsured future. So I've been following the fires a little bit here. Just got back from New York City last week, and I had to travel up there for some meetings, and some interesting things occurred while I was there. New York City, Monday, hazy Saharan dust storm kind a couple days after. Now, one thing when I was in New York, I wanted to go to the Met Museum, because I like that kind of thing. But on the side streets, there's a few other really much more local museums. There was a antiquities museum, and these are all in private households. You would walk by, there's a nondescript sign on the outside, and you would walk by these other, one was sponsored by the German government, Austrian government, and then the other one was just pure ancient history. All 3 of them told me the exact same thing. Oh, sorry, we're closed. Parts of the floors are closed. They're moving the collections and they're remodeling. Now, I could imagine if it was for one museum or perhaps one, private residence, but not that being the excuse. And then we go to the Met. In the Van Gogh section there, same thing. Oh, the Van Gogh, we're remodeling this section. We're reestablishing. We're going to reset and rotate the paintings out so the Van Gogh section's closed. And I'm thinking, that's strange. That's almost like they're taking the real valuable pieces out of New York. In advance of what? Doomed if we do, doomed if we don't. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio said increasing the debt limit means there's no meaningful limit on debt and will eventually lead to a disastrous financial collapse. Bloomberg is warning of a severe economic reset, and gold appears as the caged bull waiting a catalyst. JP Morgan warned, cut stocks, buy gold, and hold your cash. Wells Fargo said gold is in a super cycle that could last another 6 years. And worst case scenario, gold at 3,000. Searches for how to buy gold on Google hit record levels in April. It's as simple as calling Patriot Gold Group today. Find out why they're A+ rated, Consumer Affairs top rated gold and silver company nationwide. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some first class service. Patriot Gold Group offers the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver on qualifying rollovers. 888-546-7020. Call to get your free investor guide today. Keep in mind, Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs top rated IRA gold dealer for 6 years in a row. That's 888-546-7020. Give them a call. And now on with the video. Not the smoke. I mean, you can breathe through that. But here it is, New York City. This is going to be all the rage for the next couple weeks. It's already been blamed on warmer water temperatures, warmer human influences. It's wildfires. But if you could gauge where the jet streams were blowing and you lit off several forests, you could set in motion several different plays at once. Because you got to think about this. They're not going to do a single move. The move you're seeing in the media is meant for control, to try to get you to react in a certain way with your emotions. The other way is behind the scenes, where they're 3 steps ahead going, well, if we do this, we'll trickle on that, the smoke will do this, the insurers won't do that, we can take them out of their homes and put them in the cities. That's where they're at, way ahead of the smoke in the city. Oh, I can't see it. Tourism's down. Oh, well. So if you want to take a look at the forecast out, because I know some of you might be traveling up there, air travel's been snarled. They canceled quite a few flights. This is the forecast for us moving out. June 8th was just yesterday, but you can see where the densest is, and you can kind of see where the flow is moving offshore now. Now this is going to clear out through next week, and it should go back to normal again unless there's more fires, quote unquote. Magically, the forest will ignite itself. You can see the wildfire areas down there in East Tennessee where it's yellow and it says moderate. I've been out for the last week building my barn. I'm building a new barn. We've run out of space, and we got growing machines, we got animals, got feed. I got seed. We're trying to get the back acres into buckwheat for animal feed and then high premium quality hay. Need more space, basically. So I've been outside a lot in this last week, and it's been clear. So what you're seeing on the map where they show you the yellow is not really exactly where or what the densities are that they're showing you on these maps. So, witnessing firsthand, actually trying to see if the sunsets are going to be red or look for this smoke and the hazy in the air, it's crystal clear in the mornings, crystal clear in the evenings. So these kind of maps are a little deceiving because I'm not seeing it with my own eyes, and that is an on-report ground, remote East Tennessee. And you can't tell me that the forest filtered all of this. I mean, smoke comes from above to below. So here we are, another map for you. Wildfire smoke density. So it's supposedly light, but it was medium a day before yesterday. Now you notice up in northern Canada, you're going to look up and to the left a little bit. You're up in Alberta and Saskatchewan over there. British Columbia got fired off in the forest, lots of different fires there. But you'll notice that plume that's right there that, kind of looks like a little foot sticking out, or like a dagger, if you will. What does that look like for us on the maps here? And then you'll notice Northeast US, Maritimes of Canada is getting a little bit cleaner as the air pushes through. Well, what I just showed you on the chart here in the upper part of that elongated coming out, like I say, Alberta, Saskatchewan, etc. That's this smoke plume here that I got off, what's this one? GOES 16. Anybody can do this on your own. GOES 16. DUPAGE, DuPage, College of DuPage maintains this one, GOES 16 satellite, and you just put in full color and you'll be able to get these same images, and that line there will show you when you run over it, the dark spots, there'll be fires there, but this is what the smoke looks like. That is a tremendous amount of smoke coming up at the same time. A tremendous amount of smoke is coming out of the East Coast, and it just doesn't make sense why all this is happening at the same time. I'm going to come out on a limb and say perhaps it's ignited on purpose. Some of them. Now, they have caught some people for arson, but I'm talking a way different level than, we're talking global agenda level. But another thing that was so interesting about all these fires was, check this one out here, the Northeast solar panel failures, they dropped 50% in power production because of so much smoke over the area. Now, the temperatures are kind of cooler because there's so much smoke obscuring the skies. Well, that's an excuse, is it not, for cooler temperatures? And if we look, through 3rd through the 8th, and this is going to continue, it'll start ticking back up again next week sometime. So a full 2 weeks of very, very low power on the solar panels based on the wildfires. So that's not really the most reliable type of power that you want to have if it's obfuscated by smoke. What are they going to do? Turn back on the coal-burning power plant, natural gas plants? Oh, sorry, they destroyed those. They demolished them. So no, they're not. It's what you get is what you get. Sounds like an Agenda 2030 plan, doesn't it? Reduce your life necessities to bare minimum for human survival. So if you don't have enough electricity because the smoke's there, too bad. Deal with it. Serf, peasant. That's exactly the messaging that's coming out of the elite class right now. So significant wildfire, and they're giving you a forecast already. Areas in red are going to be ignited as we go through the summertime. Now think about how many people live in these areas that are in the countryside that are like, I've already prepared, I got my preps ready, I'm way out in the countryside. The only problem is I got a small insignificant mortgage left that I'm trying to pay off. But if you cannot insure your home, that's a default on your part that can pull your mortgage. If it's the inverse, where something goes to central bank digital currencies away from US dollar, they may call it a digital dollar, but please be reminded, it's not the same that you signed your contract for. You agreed to pay back in US dollars. You did not agree to pay back in digital new issuance CBDC dollars. Keep that in mind. They default, you didn't. So it's a cat and mouse game of default and who might get the property and who might not. But you're going to be forced off. There is a very clean ploy to force people out of the countryside back into the cities. These areas, unfortunately, in red, seem that they've been targeted for removal of persons the best way they can, to set fires, to then claim zones that insurers won't touch with a 10-foot pole moving forward, which means you have no homeowners insurance. You're going to have to move. Government or BlackRock will be right there to swoop that up. Guaranteed somebody will buy your property from you. But where are you going to go? So the case in point here that I'm making is now Allstate has joined State Farm Insurance Company, saying that they're no longer going to, from this point forward, insure anything in California because fire risks. They might say it's climate risk is another one they're using, but it's for fire. And then my little brain just light bulb goes off and goes, we're seeing the biggest massive wildfires across all of Canada that you've ever seen in the remoter areas where a lot of people are, like I say, prepped out, ready to go for this reset. Anywhere you see in more remote communities where they are ready for it, they're going to smoke them out, as I heard George Bush say about 50,000 times after 9/11. We're going to smoke them out, got to smoke them out, got to smoke them out of the caves, got to smoke them out. Well, you're being smoked out right now, which is a sad thing. But if you know that's the ploy, then you protect yourself somehow. So State Farm is not going to do any new property or casualty insurance on property. So if you have a farm and you want to reinsure it because you wanted to have people out there working or have an Airbnb, they know that extra insurance that you might have in case of injury of people visiting your property, they're not going to do that anymore. And then Allstate is stopping any new home coverage. Condos, commercial homes, farms, real estate, whatever. California, bye-bye. So what we're seeing right now, California is always pushing the envelope on the edge of these new ridiculous ideas. So this is just another one. And we're watching them in real time be the spearhead for the rest of the plan for the United States. So you have to ask yourself, what's your risk assessment? Because they're doing similar things in Louisiana and Florida right now. saying that, well, the storms are getting stronger because of global warming, that we might not be able to insure homes along the Gulf Coast or in anywhere along Florida Panhandle, all the way to Louisiana, parts of Alabama, down into Florida because of too much hurricane risk. Now imagine that. 50 million homes can't be insured because of hurricane risk, because of climate. What happens? Are they going to pull the mortgages on every single home down there along the coast areas too? Pulling the mortgages across California because you can't get insurance? Or apparently, as it is, there are other companies who will take you and give you high risk insurance because the two cheaper companies won't, but you're paying something like 10 to 18 times higher. I said that right, 10 to 18 times higher for your insurance. Now, let's say it's $1,000 a year. That's either $10,000 or $18,000 that you just got hit with. Now, a lot of people I know pay $3,000. Can you pay $30,000, $50,000 for insurance per year on your home? That's what they're going to do. They're going to price you out after areas have been recategorized based on a risk assessment level from some sort of climate perspective. And that's the way it's going. It is written in stone, and the spearhead is California, and now it's going to be Canada. Watch Canada do it. It's so clean to see. I think it's going to take about a month or two, and you'll start to hear it in Canada. We can't let you rebuild in the fire areas. There's already been a fire there. It's a risky area. We're not going to reinsure, this sort of thing. And, today's episode actually came from this one here, Marching Toward an Uninsurable Future. They're already telling you this is the plan. The plan is this. They're telling you plain as day. The plan is the devastating blazes destroyed thousands of homes. We're not going to be able to insure it again. Now, right off, I feel like we're sinking down into Davy Jones' locker. Exactly what it is. So a good analysis here. This is Nova Scotia fires. And you can see how it's burning backward. Now, if you knew, again, where the jet streams were, and you knew it would be a prolonged high wind event, if you were to spark those fires along a line and just let nature do its thing, you would know the exact trajectory of the fire, where the smoke would billow to, and what areas would be engulfed. Because you'd already know the wind speed, you know the wind trajectory, you know how long the duration of it. Because see, it's almost like a controlled burn, but in a global sense, literally using the jet streams. I live out here in East Tennessee and near the Smoky Mountains and the Cherry-Hale National Forest. There's a lot of controlled burns out here. But they do it when they know the wind conditions are right, or there's a rainstorm setting in, or they're going to blow it up a hill and they know it'll stop at the ridge and the winds will die down. So they try to time it. It's a Rubik's Cube of nature and purposeful ignition to try to clear the deadfall and debris out of the forest so it doesn't create larger fires. They call them like a 1,000-hour fire. With all the debris, once your thing goes, it'll lay on the forest floor and smolder and burn for 1,000 hours. They're trying to avoid those types of fires. I see it all the time. Like, for example, you'll see this, and you might think it's, wow, nope. And they'll put a warning out that said, hey, we just lit the forest out here. So if you see smoke from the northwest or whatever, that's Forest Service just ignited that one. And this is actually a controlled burn to try to backburn over to some of these wilder major fires. So they'll set this in front of the fire front, and that'll burn into an area that's already been burned, and then it won't go any further, because once that fuel is used up, it can't jump into a burn spot and keep going. There's no more fuel. So what about the homes that are in this section here that are going to backburn through there? Oh, sorry. Forced evacuation, we're going to burn through your area. It's not just the wildfire itself. See, they can go anywhere they want and backburn and do ignitions if they want. And they're going to pull you out of your house. And when it's all burned up and you go back with nothing in there, your insurance company's not going to reinsure it. And this makes me so sad to see this, how it's just demonic and just dark energy is moving now to get people into these cities and away from the countryside and self-sufficiency. We are in this battle between light and dark right now, and you can see it playing out so clearly. So these are the images that were used on CNN. I pulled this one here. Up in Quebec and a little bit in Ontario, but mainly in the Maritimes of Canada and Nova Scotia, that sort of thing. Not all the way up to Newfoundland. But they have like, oh, it's just a couple puffs of smoke. So I look at that and I go, no. That little bit of smoke right there is not choking out New York City. Again, we're going to come back to Ghost 16. Every streak that you see, and look for my purple cursor right there. I took that on the screen grab. Everywhere you see this smoke coming out, all those fires lit off in the same 6-hour period. Now, if it was thunderstorms, as they claim, I understand. We have lightning strikes here. It's a very, very common cause of fires. But that's not a frontal boundary of a storm system. That is discombobulated, 400 miles long, and storm systems don't generally do that. They're talking about an electrical front 400 miles long that's jumping all over the place, back and forth between things, coming off, the tip of the bay there, which would have a different climate system in itself based on the water rolling over the land. And then the smoke does start to billow, and then all of a sudden all these other subfires just start out of nowhere. It's almost like the earth opened up, cracked open, and lava's pouring out. Or was it something different? Because you're telling me all these fires ignited in a 6-hour period across Canada, here in the eastern Canada, a Canadian area, Eastern Maritimes. And then after all of this, can you believe today? Look at the cloud pattern over that region right there. That checkerboard, it almost looks like terracotta stucco clouds. That's electrified right there. That's an electrified cloud pattern that you're looking at. Now, there's laboratory experiments that can replicate the exact same thing with the striations and what looks like a stucco. After somebody's doing a house, have you ever seen anybody do a stucco house on the outside when they get that and they mat that and get it perfectly flat? That's exactly what it looks like after they finish. Electrically induced cloud formations like that, and notice the swirls around too. They're almost taking on a cyclonic spin. Electricity does that, high amplification. You might want to do a little research on that. Now, that's all subset A of it. So we got the fires, and you look at the base layer and you're like, well, they're going to try to get people off the land and whatever. Okay. Agenda 2030, you're going to own nothing, World Economic Forum, cool. I get you. I know what your plan is, but it's really much deeper than that. So this chart here shows you, this is from Berkeley Earth, by the way, highly respected climate science area if you want to get information, Berkeley Earth. Even CNN uses them, Washington Post, but I do too because some of their data is really good. It's not all global warming rah-rah squad. They actually have like a split set of data between it. So what you're looking at here is volcanic eruptions. And every time there's a volcanic eruption of note, the Earth cools. And this is the chart here from 1750, Mount Lockie, all the way up to now. But since it stops at 2010, they don't have the Hunga Tonga eruption, which occurred last year in January, and they don't have the Shivalushi eruption this year, which VEI 6, which is still sending sulfur around the northern hemisphere, sulfur dioxide, and cooling temperatures. So you can see a direct correlation here. Volcanic activity, large scale, cools temperatures. But also with a little bit at the bottom there, also due to changes in El Nino and Gulf Stream flow. We're heading into the El Nino right now. So these natural cycles are being ridden on top of to create more panic about global warming, to pass more legislation, more taxes, and more control over what you can consume. That's what this is all about as well. Just another layer, but there's 3 layers on this one getting deep. So if the temperatures are going to cool because of volcanic activity, how do you explain that to a populace when it's supposed to be the warmest year ever? You have to make up some other excuse why things are going haywire in the atmosphere. Massive smoke canopy, it cooled, didn't it? Oh wait, El Nino can change the temperatures also. Oh, we're heading into an El Nino. See how this is all starting to layer on top here? It's excuse after excuse for the changes we are seeing now and going to experience through the rest of the summer. This is not anyway an accident. This is fully on purpose. It's masking and riding on top of natural events to get a larger outcome. Just a little bit of this happening without any fires or without anything else. Yeah, you're going to get some cooling coming into El Nino, but that onset is extremely slow. But according to the media, it's all happening at the same time, and it's just double layer caked, and then, ooh, throw the cherry on top and pay more taxes globally. We'll come into some of these temperature changes that we're about to see, and how does this dovetail into the year without a summer? Because our food production is being lost as well, and there needs to be an excuse for that. Talked about that right after the break.